Revolution 2, The Parables. Introduction. It seems only appropriate that a book about the parables of Jesus would begin with a pointed story, so here we go. We'll call this one The Boy with Bad Aim. When I was a boy of 7, I was branded. I was labeled as the boy who could not hit the toilet. Now, you know those signs that hang above toilets, we aim to please, you aim to please? Well, my mom would have purchased one of those signs, but she wanted a customized sign. It would say something like, we aim to please, son, aim to please, or else. As inaccurate as I was when using the old John, the brand I carried was equally inaccurate. Let me explain. The summer after my first grade year, we moved to the country. Now, while our new home was being built, my mom, dad, and older sister lived in what could only be described as a small shack. This shack was more than 100 years old and looked twice its age. Our temporary home was small, very small. I didn't even have a bedroom. In fact, my bedroom was little more than a glorified hallway. We had space problems. We had snake problems. We had bug problems. Now, the lack of space didn't really bother me. I was 7. How much space did I need? The snakes didn't really bother me either. They would just slither into the basement. I wasn't allowed to go into the basement, so the snakes weren't a problem. The bugs, however, were. I didn't know exactly what kind of bugs they were, but I was constantly afraid of being taken hostage by those suckers. They were big, creatures that could only be classified somewhere between the insect and rodent species. So, quite often when I would be relieving myself, I would spot one of these creatures crawling along the wall behind the toilet. With ammunition already loaded, I went to work. That's right, I unloaded on these beasts. Put another way, I peed on them. Actually, I got to be pretty good. I would routinely nail even the smallest of creatures during my frequent trips to the can. It became quite a habit. Actually, it became an instinct. One day, I was relieving myself, spotted one of these bugs. This innate impulse comes over me, and splat, another victory. Well, the victory was short-lived. The next thing I heard was not pleasant, and that reaction came from my mom, who was standing behind me. I completely forgot she was there. That reaction went something like, "What in the world are you doing? All this time I thought it was your father making those messages. What is your problem?" So, while Mom witnessed her baby boy missing what she thought was the intended target, the toilet, she didn't realize that my failed attempt at hitting the John was actually a highly successful strategic strike on a bug. Now, I also knew that if she became aware of my ongoing assault on these bugs, I would get the spanking of a lifetime. So, still facing my intended target, I sheepishly looked back at Mom, and with the cutest, most pitiful face this blonde-haired, green-eyed little fella could muster, said something along the lines of, bad aim, I guess? Well, her response was not supportive. Bad aim? I'd say bad aim. If you had to go in the bathtub, you'd hit the ceiling. With that, I was branded. I was the kid who couldn't hit the can. Mom told the story to anyone and everyone who would listen, and the rest was history. Now, the brand stayed with me. A couple years later, when we took a family trip to North Carolina, I was forced to go in a Mellow Yellow can while riding in the car. My dad refused, of course, to stop for something as trivial as his son's exploding bladder, so it was either Mellow Yellow in the can or Mellow Yellow in my pants. My mom was terrified. My sister was horrified. She complained, "He can't even hit the toilet. How's he going to hit that little hole in the can?" I, on the other hand, was confident. I knew I could hit it. I could have hit something smaller if I needed to. When the can was filled, without a drop being spilled, my family was thrilled. Now, I thought that would teach these naysayers that I could hit a smaller target, then surely I could hit the bigger variety, like the toilet. I thought that would rip away my label and it would be replaced with something much more accurate in terms of toilet usage. Right? Wrong. I remain confident, but still branded. Yeah, I was still going to be, and most likely would forever be, the boy with bad aim. So, what's my point, you ask? Why in the world are you telling a story about urinating on bugs in a book about Jesus' parables? Good question. It would have taken me less than 20 words to say, be careful of the labels you put on someone. They're not always fair or accurate. Now, those 16 words may not have left the same impression as the story. Enter the parable. Parable. Webster defines this word as a short, simple story teaching a moral lesson. It's a Greek word, and the word is broken down as follows: para, meaning beside, and balion, meaning to throw, which is an appropriate breakdown, as Jesus continually delivered much meaning and wisdom in his stories while inviting listeners to simply think differently.